Neil Armstrong here. Just landed on the moon. It's a bit toasty in here, up here, but I think we're gonna manage. All right, this time around, as you can see, I'm in a paint suit. Genius invention for painting. Hopefully there is no more lint in the clear coat, but I finished the wet sanding, finished the, what is it called? Oh, scuffing. I scuffed the jams with a red Scotch-Brite just because everything was going to get recoated with a base. I did one coat of base. I will say the biggest pain in the butt, and it took me like 3 hours, but I had to remask everything. Not fond of that. But I got the base down, so the one coat of that is done. So the cab is, cross my fingers, but it's done with base coat. So I'm on coat number 2 of the clear. Right now I'm letting it flash. Put one wet coat down, and looking over it, it's looking pretty good. I'm not seeing any fuzzies, not much dust or crap in there. So we're gonna see how it turns out. So another thing that I'm using this time around are these paint gun filters right here. I didn't use them last time, and what ended up happening was there were some chunks in the cup and they ended up blasting through the paint gun and right into the paint. So I'm trying to avoid that this time around. And I don't think I went over what paint gun I was using. As I said in a prior video, I would use a cheap one for primer, but this is a Devil This Tecna Pro Light. This is what we use for the base and the clear. And the reason why we use this gun is because it's not really a beginner gun, it's a pricier gun, and it lays the paint down a lot nicer than the cheaper gun kits. All right, so I just finished up the 3rd coat of clear. I decided to do 3 instead of 4. It's getting pretty late, I'm getting pretty tired. I feel like if I shoot a 4th one, I'm just gonna screw it up. So the 3 of them that's on there looks pretty good. 3 is pretty much the minimum recommended amount, so it should be perfectly fine. There was a little bit of wet sanding, a little bit of, I think I had a couple of runs that I have to work out, but there should be enough clear on there now compared to when I did it before. So now I can work those out and not have to worry about, UV protection and basically buffing through the clear coat. All right, now that the outside of the cab is done, minus the roof, and the doors are done, I'm gonna start assembling the cab, putting everything back in, the carpet, the seats, the headliner, and then I'm gonna start putting the doors back together, and then I will put the doors on the cab, pull the cab up by the lift, and then I will lower the cart down, put the cab back down on the cart, and then we'll be set to paint the top of the cab.
A few moments later.
So friends, I managed to do it again. In the process of painting the top of the cab, I did everything off camera. I put the interior in and the doors on and all that off camera. And I'll go over that after the cab is completely done. But I managed to screw up the top of the cab. Similar to how I did the doors, there's a little seam that's between the windshield and the top of the cab. And I ended up, when I was blowing clear coat, there was a crap load of dust in there, and I blew all the dust right into the clear coat. So it wasn't even white anymore. At that point, it was like black. So had to wait for it to cure, and now I got to basically wet sand the whole top of the cab again, and I'll be right back at it, hopefully in the morning. All right, round 2. Hopefully this is the final round of messing with the top of the truck. So I got the base coat down and I got the first layer of clear. and it's looking good so far. I'm gonna take you to the paint booth, and I'm gonna go over kind of how I screwed it up the first time and kind of show you what's going on. This crack here, there's a trim piece or a strip that goes in there to fill that gap. And so when I pulled it off, and then after I was done sanding, all the dust went straight into that gap. Now I thought that I washed it out after I had wet sanded it, because I took the hose and I washed the whole truck down. But apparently I didn't get that crack, and so everything that was in that crack dried and then it turned to powder. So basically, I didn't notice it when I was doing the base coat, because base coat I run about 15 PSI. I know it's a little low compared to what some people would do, but it still sprays perfectly good, and basically you're looking for coverage. But that's not the point. The point is, when I did the clear coat, I ran about 28 PSI or so about 10 pounds more than the base. And so when I did the clear, it basically just blew all the dust right over the base. And at that point, I had to restart, basically wet sand the whole top of the cab down, and then now we're going round 2, I guess. So had to put a dusting of base, and now we're doing more clear coat. All right, so fast forwarding 1 week and 1 clean shave later, we got the truck back on the chassis rolls, and the cab paintwork and bodywork is finally done. So I'm gonna start off first with the chassis here. I got the hangers done. They are painted with the frame, same color, same shade of black. Bolted them back up. Still got to do this rear cross member here, but that'll be in a later video at a later time. I got the front all bolted up and on its own weight. The steering system that I got on it, I don't know if it's going to work or not. We're going to see. So basically we have the Cognito Pitman arm and idler arm supports here with a PPE straight center link. I'm not sure if this is going to work or not, if there's going to be any interference between the brackets and the center brace. But we're going to find out after the truck runs and drives and I'm able to take it down the road. But regardless, the top of the cab is finally done. So as you can see here, I got the cab lights on, doors back on, seals on. I got to buy a trim piece that goes between the windshield and the top of the cab there. But other than that, I'd say she's pretty much complete. All right, I'm going to show you guys the inside here. Don't mind this trim piece here. I actually broke it taking it off, so I got to order a new one. But regardless, the interior is still a little rough. Carpet was cleaned, but you can still see I got some footprints in there when I was putting stuff together. Seat's a little torn. I'm going to buy a new cover there. The steering wheel here is a little rough. I might buy a new one. Maybe try getting the GMC airbag, because I'm going to have a GMC front end with it. And then possibly the 03 and up model steering wheel. I think those look a little bit better. These wires here, don't mind these. These are for the DSP5 switch. I'll have all that stuff hooked back up when the truck's back together. And then these here are the headliner wiring harness. I cut this because I could not get the plug through this little crevice here. It was all like wrapped around the dash. I think someone pulled the dash out and put it back in at one point, and I couldn't get the plug anywhere close to being out. So I clipped it here and I clipped it there, and now I'm going to splice it all back together and solder it up. So I also got the back seat all put back in, and obviously the carpet back here is clean as well. And you also notice that I went with a black suede headliner. So this is something new. I haven't done a black one yet. It was off of Amazon, so it's a cheaper one. I'm going to see kind of how it holds up. But for these door panels, I'm basically waiting to put the door panel on until I can get a battery hooked up to it, because I need to be able to roll the windows down in order to get them locked in so that I can put the regulators in the right spot. I got the driver's side one done and it seems to fit all right, but the passenger side one is just way too tight and I can't wedge the rails in, and I can't wedge the regulator into it. So, and then back here I got the cab vents put back on, the third brake light. I put a new seal on the third brake light. I still have to get the black trim pieces that go right there between the side of the cab and the top of the cab. And I'm also waiting on paint for the rear diff cover. I have it primed, I just haven't gotten around to painting yet. I also have the turbo housing, which I'm going to go over the size and the specs of that. It's not a stock turbo, it's a drop-in, sort of. It's kind of a unique design, not very common. I'm going to go over that in a second video. But yeah, I got the housing primed as well as the diff cover, and that's going to get painted too. But that's going to conclude this video, and I'll see you guys in the next one.